there is a spirit right there. So, whoa, what the hell? Kisaragi Academy, class 2-9, just prior to morning homeroom. I entered the classroom, school bag in hand, and beeline directly for Naomi. From the look on her face, she'd been waiting for me. Morning, Satoshi. Good morning, Naomi. How'd it go? At Shinozaki's, I mean. Not good. Naomi shook her head. I did too, but her parents said she hasn't been home since the day before. Yesterday, so what now? Something's definitely not right. Her voice was quivering. No doubt, memories of our time in Heavenly Host were resurfacing for her, just as they had been for me. And my news was no better, unfortunately. Same story with Yoshiki. According to his neighbor, there hasn't been a single sound coming from his apartment since yesterday, which means he probably never went home last night. God, I don't want to hear that. I'm sick and tired of this. I don't want to lose any more friends. Naomi had her face completely buried in her hands at this point. Damn it, I think you should know that Yoshiki was really worried about Shinozaki. He said she was in danger, and it had to do with Heavenly Host, but that place shouldn't exist anymore. Yoshiki and Shinozaki, what the hell could you guys have possibly gotten yourself into? In my worry, I did what I often do when I'm trying to clear my mind, and looked out the window, staring into the cloudy sky. And suddenly, there it was again. What is that? There was a solid black spherical object hovering in the sky. You see it too, Naomi. Yeah, what is that? Mushida, Nakashima, please refrain from looking outside during school hours. Morning homeroom is about to begin. Our homeroom teacher, Mr. Yamazaki, entered the classroom with his usual air of authority. Miss Niwa is out sick today, so third period English will be study hall. Come on, you two. Get back in your seats. What are you guys looking at out there anyways? Mr. Yamazaki, can't you see it too? That black thing? What is that? Even the teacher is startled by this. It must be juicy, or so all the other students seem to think, as they began to murmur noisily and get up to see themselves. Whoa! What? What is that? God! That's creepy. It's a natural disaster. You think the big one's coming? Now, everybody, calm down. Panicking will do us no good. Mr. Yamazaki, I say we end class early. Don't be absurd. If there's an emergency, we'll get a call about it. And if that happens, the school's dismissed. Then you may go. Right now, the best thing to do is return to our seats. And girls, please don't stand on the desk. And boys can see everything. The boys can see everything. Eek! Woo! Sounds about right. You pervs. Come on, seriously. Naomi and I looked at one another in the eye. We were both thinking the same thing. Satoshi, I don't like this. Yeah, I've got a bad feeling about it myself. This chill in the air, it's exactly the same as Heavenly Hosts. In your seats, that means you. After class ended, we took a trip to Polonia Academy High School. We needed something to go on, some kind of clue, anything at all, really. So we just started asking around. Eventually, we encountered a girl who was crying profusely about some friend of hers who's gone missing. They all just disappeared, and Mio, right? Were you friends with Naho Seonaki and Aiko Niwa? Yeah, Sayaka and I were both really close with them, and they'd always tease us. I'm sorry. The entire time Mio spoke with us, she was trying to rub the tears from her eyes, and each time she attempted it, it made her ponytails twitch. What's going on anyways? Where did they all go, and what's with that black thing? We'd pledged after our escape not to burden others necessarily with information about Heavenly Host, feeling that most people were simply better off not knowing. If you're looking for information on Naho and others, there's something scary must be going on, right? Well, I don't need any details. I know. I won't be able to help even if you told me. But please. Please, save them. From whatever it is. She was actually grabbing my shirt now, and the tears were pouring from her eyes all over again. Wherever they are, they're probably in a lot of pain. Aiko Niwa, the girl we'd met at Makina Shinozaki's apartment, she seemed calm and confident, even a little full of herself, but somewhere deep down, I'd felt there was a chink in her armor, and I think Naomi had felt it too. To be honest, we're not exactly sure what's going on, but if we figure out anything, we'll make a point to come back and let you know. Mio rubbed her eyes, her ponytail perking up once more, and looked up at us with big, wet saucers. Out of options, we elected to retry the Sachiko in the Ever After ritual. That was our method of ingress into the Heavenly Host last time, after all. With Proxy Doll in hand, the bag of supplies at the ready, and the two of us yanked the arms back as hard as we could, splitting the paper in two so that we each held a piece. Sigh. It's no use. It really isn't working anymore. Yeah. Looks like the curse of Heavenly Host has been cleared after all. Seems like it, with no Sachiko anymore, that whole school should have been totally destroyed. And I bought a mountain of water and calorie biscuits to bring with us. I patted my bag as if demonstrating to Naomi how much was in it. It should have been fairly obvious though, as the bag itself was practically bursting at the seams. Helicopters flew overhead, no doubt in response to the mysterious black orb that had appeared in our sky. We watched the flurry of activities above us as we gloomily left Polonia Academy High School, no closer to any answers than we were before. Glancing over at Naomi, I saw the sour expression on her face and tried to imagine why she didn't want to go back home. And it wasn't hard to think of numerous reasons. Hey Naomi, are you going to stay at Miss Niwa's again tonight? Yeah. Okay, well, would you like to stop by my house again first? My mom and Yuka too, of course, seem to have really taken a liking to you. Are you sure you don't mind? Her expression instantly, measurably brightened. I don't mind at all. In fact, I'd appreciate it. Yuka could stand some cheering up after all. Thank you. We shifted directions slightly and began the relatively short foot track to my house. It was an ordinary and rather pleasant walk for a while, until Naomi caught sight of her mother turning the corner up ahead. At the time, I didn't realize who it was. She was clasping my arm of a young man sporting a shaved head and a construction outfit with some sort of insignia embroidered on the back of his uniform. Mom? She was clearly very close to this man, cuddling up to him as they walked, pulling his arm into her bosom and even sneaking a few kisses before the pair disappeared down into an alleyway. Alright, what the hell? Where's her dad? What's wrong, Naomi? It's nothing. Nothing at all. Adultery? Her voice had gone up a full octave as she said this. Clearly, something was indeed bothering her, but I had no way to know what it was in the moment, and could only take her at her words. And her words was, by all appearances, that everything was fine. She'd more or less closed herself off, outwardly pretending not to have seen a thing. And here we are. We are actually going... Oh, what the hell? What's this? As we drew closer to my house, we slowly began to see a strange light illuminating the area around it. And that area was different from what it looked like this morning, to say the least. There was now a bamboo wall surrounding my house, and most notably, we now had a hot spring. What? What words were there for situations like this? Flummoxed, maybe? Flummoxed. This was here this morning, or this wasn't here this morning. What the hell is this? Machida Springs? Calm down, Satoshi. Let's just go inside and see. Immediately upon opening the front door, however, we were greeted by a sign reading, "This way to the natural springs." The Ministry of Defense plans to issue a statement at 1800 hours regarding the massive black orb that appeared in the skies over Tokyo. We entered the dressing room only to find Yuka naked. Ah, welcome, big brother and Naomi. The water's great. Yuka? Yuka was holding a toy goldfish, a towel, and a small beach ball in her hands. What are you doing? That's not the question I would have asked, but I was in too much shock for my words to come out the way I meant them to. And Yuka didn't seem to mind. She just smiled back at me, as joyful as I'd ever seen her. Come on, it's amazing. Grabbing onto one of our hands, she slid open the glass door in the back and led us to the Machida Springs, proper that we'd just seen and hearing so much about. Now there's a hot spring here? What's going on? Hey, bro, gotta say, this is one sweet soak. Who? There was another girl already soaking in the springs, a young girl around Yuka's age, sporting a stylish hairdo. Huh? Don't tell me you've never met her before. She's a friend from class. Her name is Satoshi Mizuhara. Nice to meet you, bro. Now, you better be sure to keep your eyes up high, okay? That's not that I expect you to turn on all these raisins, mine. Haha. Boing, boing, boing. Alright, what the heck? What the hell? Hey, stop jiggling them. Now it was official. Nothing made any sense anymore. What the hell is going on around here? Hang in there, Satoshi. Naomi grabbed a hold of my shoulders as if to keep me upright in case I'd suddenly decide to faint, which in all things considered was probably a sensible precaution. Hehe, isn't this wonderful? Miss Kuon? It's good for your health, plus sulfur springs help ward off spirits, so it's a win-win. I asked them to have everything built by noon, and as you can see, they delivered. My company's construction division is quite resourceful, wouldn't you say? How can you say something like this without asking for, or do something like this without asking for permission first? I pointed my finger at her, a customary manner, as was the style at the time. Well now, welcome home, Satoshi, and the same to you, Naomi. Oh, thanks for having me. Hope I'm not intruding. Suddenly, I found myself shuddering down to the core as my mom appeared before us wearing nothing but a bath towel. Mom. Her skin was bright pink and she seemed to be very high spirits. By the looks of things, she was in the spirit herself until just moments before, the spring herself until just moments before we arrived, and she'd eventually stepped out of the kitchen to get a very large number of beverages. If you're going to go back into the house to get drinks, shouldn't we at least wipe yourself down first? You're sopping wet? You're soaking wet. Yeah, sure. Anyways, everybody grab a drink. Yay! What the hell is going on? Yay! You're the best, Yuka Mom. Yuka and Satoshi were also in very high spirits. Oh, as Miss Kuon. Hey, what do you say we take a group photo, a commemoration of the establishment of Machida Springs? Here, everybody. Line up. Yeah, just like that. Now say cheese. Cheese. Jesus. Cheese. What the hell? Naomi and I were forced into the frames as well. Like it or not, we were now a party of this madness. A part of this madness. That was a typo. Haha, our eyes were basically pinpricks at this point. None of this seemed even remotely real, and neither Naomi nor I had any idea how to react. I took the drink from my mom, and without even checking what it was, I chugged it down a few gulps. I was even thirstier than I thought, apparently. What flavor is this? There was a white, thick liquid inside the milk bottle I was given. It was faint tint to it with the viewer under the right light, but like the flavor, I couldn't quite identify it. This color, is this fruit flavored milk? I turned the bottle to read the label. Apparently it was Niwa flavored. Miss Kuon, I can't thank you enough for building this lovely hot spring on our property. You're welcome. Here, anytime you'd like. Here, it's a spare key to the house. Oh, my, Miss Mushida. I don't know what to say. Mom? Are you certain it's alright for me to have this? Of course. There wouldn't be a Mushida Springs if there weren't for you. After all, far as I'm concerned, you've got a 1-year free pass. Mom? Alright, things are getting kind of freaky. Are we back in Heavenly Host? That night, I found myself tossing and turning in my futon. I just couldn't get to sleep, and for the life of me. So I tossed the covers aside and got up. Might as well go for a dip. Alright, so back into the hot springs. This had been the craziest day I could recall in this world anyways. After all the commotion had died down and our many guests had departed, Dad had come home and predictably was in the springs right away with a carafre of his favorite sake. I had a hard time justifying Miss Kuon's arbitrary actions, not to mention my family's utter willingness to accept them, but in the end, I had to admit the hot springs was pretty nice. The rest of my family was all sleeping, so the house was dead silent. I took off my clothes in the dressing room and slid open the glass door, and there, sitting on the edge of the spring, completely uncovered, was Miss Kuon. My face instantly turned bright red. She was a fairly attractive woman after all, so being alone with her like this was kind of exciting. Though, looking at her now, entirely exposed as she was, revealed to me that this shapely woman wasn't quite as shapely as I assumed. Her body was abnormally, worryingly thin. She was the definition of gaunt, looking every bit the part of an infirmed elderly woman from the neck down. And I could have sworn I caught a slight glint from the corner of her eyes. She didn't seem to even notice me, so I was half tempted to slide the door closed and pretend none of this had ever happened. But no, I had to come clean. Miss Kuon? Oh, what the hell? Oh, Satoshi! Wow, she looks pretty fucking weird. Despite the fact that I was a much younger man, and her student no less, she made absolutely no effort to hide her nakedness. In fact, she actually seemed to be excited to be seen like this. Why are you in our bath at this hour? Sorry, did I wake you? No, that's not what I meant. Never mind, where's Naomi? She's sleeping soundly at my house. I called her family again today, but her mother seems to have calmed down quite a bit. That's good to hear. I was legitimately relieved, but I was also having trouble concentrating on the conversation I took once to focus I had to avert my eyes from. The things I knew I shouldn't be staring at. Could you cover yourself, Miss Kuon? Oh dear, my apologies. She immediately got up from her spot and dunked herself into the water up to her neck. Due to its mineral content, this was a very effective means of at least partially obscuring her body. What about you? Aren't you cold just standing like that? You should get in as well. Huh? I panicked at the realization of that too. I too was completely naked right now. Covered myself with my hands and could feel the blood rushing to my face, turning me into what I was quite certain must have been an incredible shade of red. Recovering as best as I could from the embarrassment, I stepped into the water, choosing my spot carefully so as to put some distance between myself and Miss Kuon. Were you crying just now, Miss Kuon? Huh? I just had this strange feeling that you were. If not, then I'm sorry to ask such a weird question. Huh. Actually, I was pondering, thinking about how nice it would be if time just stopped. Miss Kuon, why are you doing all of this? Building a hot spring in a student's house, hiring private bodyguards to do your bidding. None of this makes any sense. It's all just so weird. It's making it hard for me to sleep. Are you asking about those things specifically, or do you want to know more about who I am? Both would be nice, I thought. If you're asking about those things specifically, the answer is because I want to protect others. Protect others? From what? And if you're asking about who I am, didn't I already go over this with you kids at the start of the year? Well, I was previously but a humble civil servant for a certain large corporation, but then worked all the way up to CEO. Realized I could make my dream of becoming a teacher a reality, so she's a CEO then. I guess that explains how she's able to afford all this crazy stuff. Does your corporation produce that fruit milk I was drinking earlier? The label said Niwa flavored, which I might add is kind of, Yes, that's one of our products. I made it for kids like Yuka. She can't decide whether they want yogurt, plain milk, fruit milk, or coffee milk. Now, they didn't have to decide. They can enjoy every flavor at once. Oh, okay. Now, is that enough information to sate your curiosity? Hehe. I understand where Miss Kuon is coming from, I guess, but her approach is just way too haphazard. Her ideas are well-intentioned, but go far beyond all notions of good sense. I scratch my head. What's wrong? Huh. Oh, nothing. I was just thinking about your curry. My curry? She seemed genuinely confused. I guess to her, the idea of feeding me pre-chewed curry was just another stroke of brilliance, maybe. Not at all something that might keep a poor high school boy like myself up at night. Actually, how old is Miss Kuon anyways? I really wanted to know, but I couldn't bring myself to ask something so rude of a lady, even if I'm sure she wouldn't have minded. The more I thought about it, though, the more intrigued I was by this enigma. I began shiftily turning my gaze towards her in short intervals, examining her body for clues. Her face and her texture of the hue of a woman in her early 20s. But her body was another story. All the skin was smooth and beautifully toned as that of this face, but there was a little behind it. Ribs fully exposed in every detail. Even down to her abdomen, I could make out round indentations where her internal organs were practically jutting out. There was no muscle, no fat, just skin and bones. Literally. Her proportions just didn't match up with one another. She was like a construct built out of spare parts. It felt almost as if this person soaking before me weren't even entirely human. Hee. Miss Kuon suddenly let out a mischievous giggle. Crap, did she catch me staring? What is it? I was just reminiscing about my first day as assistant teacher for your class. I'll never forget it, for as long as I live. My memory there was obviously a lot different from hers. Kuon Niwa wasn't even a part of it. The TA who showed up that day, in my mind, was, and always should be, Yui Sashido. I could still vividly remember her tripping on the step up to the teacher's desk and tearing her skirt. She had the whole day she had to hold the rear of it with the safety pin for the entire day. And even though we were now living in different realities, a world without Miss Yui, Tsunohara, Suzumoto, or Moshigi, we had no memories of the alternate events from this existence. I love you. Excuse me? I'm in love, Satoshi. My mind went completely blank. My eyes were swimming in my head, and I couldn't even see straight from the heat of the water. I had to have misheard her. With what? Miss Kuan smiled widely, and her cheeks turned a rosy red hue. But only for a split second, and then she was back to looking wistful again. Pangs of undue guilt and dread began to well up inside me. I knew what the next word out of her mouth was going to be. You. Miss Kuan was almost like a mass of innocence as she spoke that single word. Her eyes locked onto mine and froze them solid. I couldn't look away. Come on, stop messing with me. When you're done with all your soak, could you go straight home? Okay? Also, you're very close. I was dumbfounded. I immediately and very quickly got out of the bath and headed for the dressing room. This was all just too weird. I looked back at Miss Kuan, and unsurprisingly, she seemed almost deflated. She was looking down at the water in the state of utter dejection. I turned to face her, but feeling a strange mix of guilt and awkwardness, but allowing the guilt to dominate for a moment. Miss Kuan? I'm not messing with you. After saying this, she closed her eyes and turned bright red, and I was pretty sure it wasn't from the heat. Despite her physique, she seemed like a schoolgirl in the moment. I began to waver in my consciousness. I felt like I had to justify not returning her sentiment. But I don't know anything about you. She twitched a little at this. Had I gone a little too far? Was I supposed to know about her in this reality than I actually did? After the longest few seconds, in recent memory, her head drooped and a look of absolute sadness washed over her face. I'd never seen her like this before. Crap. I didn't mean to hurt her. She had to have known that. But she didn't know. But what she did know, and what I couldn't explain, was that I'd only been a part of this reality for a very, very short time now. So I genuinely didn't know anything about her. I tried to think of a way to convey this to her, but my mind kept drawing blanks. It was just too absurd, too fantastical, too implausible. Miss Kuan, No, it's alright. I'm sorry to have sprung that on you. She slowly turned her back to me. Part of me was relieved by her acceptance, I guess. But another part of me was still absolutely riddled with guilt. There was a moment of silence, and then Miss Kuan's white waterproof wristwatch broke it with a sudden loud beep. Ah! All the sadness in her expression gave way to surprise as the numbers on the watch displays, which I realize now hadn't changed this whole time, began counting down. I felt almost as if I'd been saved by the bell, so to speak, and forced a small laugh, hoping this interruption might help us move the topic from me. Miss Kuan, what kind of watch is that? Is it measuring something? She smiled. Hee, it's part of my research. This timer had stopped, but it's on the move again now. A timer? Oh, is this research for your company? It is. There was something about that smile of hers that was strangely haunting. It would come to leave a lasting impression on me. Well, I think it's about time to head home. I took the day off today, but rest assured I'll be back to school tomorrow. See you then. Miss Kuan? I just wanted to say thank you. Naomi and Yuka seemed a lot happier now. Hee, I'm so glad. I think the same can be said for me, Yoshiki, and Shinozaki. So thank you. Thank you for healing my friend's wounds in this strange new world, is what I was trying to convey, and somewhere deep down, I think the sentiment got through. I'm pleased to hear you say that, and I want to thank you as well, Satoshi. With that, she slowly and meticulously waded her way to the edge of the spring. Whoops-a-daisy. At which point she stepped out of the water directly in front of me. God, you really need to cover yourself, please. Oh, I'm sorry. Alright. A lot of stuff happened there. So we're back here. We are actually going to... Ow, fuck you, piece of shit. We're gonna go back into this room. And we are going to... the north hole is a wooden plank that you can use. So we need to... North of the hole. So we need to get around here. Grab this plank. Got a loose board. And we're gonna run back down. She's tired. No, wait, stop! Alright, so we need to get through here. Let's see. Alright, so the hole is the wooden plank. You might have a spirit chasing you right now. Head to the gym and head right, West Hall, and then down, Center Hall. So... Oh, I'm tired. Fuck. Wait, okay. So head... Alright, I gotta see. Head right, and then head down Center Hall, and then go left, West Hall South. Okay, so we're gonna go down, and then to the left. And then the door to the left. Ow, fuck. Okay. Should use, like, this? I'm gonna use my bandages right now, because I am probably fucked up. I'm okay. Okay. West... The door... Actually, no, we have to head left. Oh no! I fell in the hole. Fuck. Whew. Alright, and now we will use our crowbar. With the right tool, there should be no problem getting in here. Use the crowbar. And now we are inside. The spirit won't follow. Alright, now we're gonna have a locker room. Here we are. This way, over here, Kishinuma. Oh, so this is this was in the original course, buddy. Hold on, don't go by yourself. We're almost there. We're almost there, everybody. Hey, is this really where it is? No doubt about it. See the charms reacting. But this is that locker room. Same old showers as last time. And the same old cubbies, too. Just as creepy as ever. Yeah. Those cubbies are particularly creepy, and I really hope we don't have to go digging around them. Alright, and there you have it. We're gonna grab this one, name tag rests besides the corpse. The East Kawaki Middle Class 2-4 IG Izumi drowned in an attempt to drink from a bucket. And now we are going to save here, guys. So thank you for watching. In the next episode, we are probably going to finish up chapter 4. This is a very long very long chapter, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys next time.